On August 15th, 2012, Saudi Aramco experienced what CNN called the biggest hack in history. The hack would affect 35,000 business-facing machines. The Shamoon attack, named for a file directory that was created by the virus, did millions of dollars in damage and shut down business operations for days. The mechanics of the hack are complex, and in order to explain to you how it works, we're going to have to start with components. This presentation will be broken down into attack toolkits, Windows NT, a similar virus called Flame, and finally the Shamoon virus itself. Now, for more information on Windows NT, this is my group member, Bana.
Hello, I hope you guys are all doing good. My name is Abdinasir Bana, and we'll be talking about Shamoon's attack. Windows NT, the foundation of Shamoon used. Originally new technology, Windows NT was a Microsoft entry into the major corporation computers in the 1900s. It became the biases of contemporary Windows systems, 11.23 with its several sophisticated compatibilities like multitasking memories, protection, and secure users, authorization systems. Principal characteristics: preemptive multitasking, make one bug app from freezing easily. Protected RAM, every program runs into a separated from other space. NTFS files provides improved files recovery choices, rights and security. User against kernel. Kernel has all the power limits with ordinary programs may access in theory all sound safe.
So to quickly recap, Windows NT is the Windows family after 1993. So we know Windows NT was the target of our hack, but how do hacks actually work? Most hacking isn't just somebody like SSHing into a terminal and then writing lots and lots and lots of lines of code. That's really unpractical. So a lot of times they'll use what are called attack toolkits. These are how people initiate cyber attacks. An attack toolkit is any collection of software that's used to create your malicious outcome. So in general, they can have lots of components, but what's really important is that they allow you to do a lot of stuff really fast because you can pre-write code and you can also set code to execute. So a lot of wider reaching attacks and both viruses that we discuss in this presentation propagate, meaning that their virus creates more infected computers by infecting other systems that are on the same network as the infected computer. That is part of the malicious code, because if it just spread, right, if it's a single virus and all it does is spread and it does nothing else, that's not really a virus, right? It doesn't do anything. We're now going to talk about, so I'll break down the components of Flame and then explain how Shamoon, I'll give it back to Bana to explain how Shamoon was similar and was actually kind of worse for the end user. Flame was entirely spyware. Other than the resource drag, Flame did not interrupt the operation of the host computer. It was like a spying effort, right? The goal was to get files and also try to get access to microphones in order to record data and then send that out to a third party, likely a government, likely a very wealthy government with interests in the Middle East. Who's to say? Anyway, the way that it actually spread most of the time was actually through a really cool abuse of Windows NT again, which was it would fake a proxy server that looked like a Windows update server. So it would tell other connected computers, hey, you've got a Windows update. Run this code to run the Windows update. And then instead of it being a Windows update, it would actually then run the dropper file. Droppers are important to most viruses. Shamoon also has a dropper. All a dropper is it's a really small piece of that toolkit that actually just gets the other pieces of the toolkit past the firewall, past the defenses, and normally tries to also get them past being seen even by manual inspection. For example, Flame would create what looked like a driver file, and it would also copy the kernel's age and then edit its own certificate to say it was like the file was created when the kernel was created. So unless you know what all the files are supposed to look like, if you dig through the OS files in Windows, it would just look like another one of your Windows files. And it was an OS X file, which is actually an old ActionX, ActiveX, excuse me, ActiveX control component. And those are, if you ever used plugins on websites like Flash, ActiveX is kind of like that. It assisted before HTML5 came along with website functionality, and it hid all these virus components in that so it could kind of run without getting seen. And then as it got more and more permissions, it was able to do stuff. So Flame would then collect this information and then send it through an SSH terminal to one of a couple of domains in order to kind of spy and perform espionage. And that's because the goal of Flame was to acquire data on these infected computers. And that's actually where Shamoon became, I think, more noticeable and more dangerous, is Shamoon did not have the goal of just collecting information. I'll now give it back to Bana.
Nevertheless, Shaman, a damaged piece of malware, found a path into aimed a 3.2-bit Windows NT systems to those Saudi Aramok users by using itself a foundry Windows served called NTS SRV. The malware passed through NT's safeguard and could operate at a startup with great privileges. It also ran disk wiping operations using raw disk, a third-party driver. User mode apps often would be able to wipe the entry drive, but Shamoon's totally avoided the limit with this method. How Shamoon got on NT designed phony Windows servers. This approach made it blend in this approach made it blend in and start every time up automatically. Paid outside third-party drivers throughout OS defenses give it low-level access to wipe drivers. Disappeared over files shared, made users over the Ethernet Windows network features. TLDR Windows just got malware. It was not weak. Shamoon described using shared folders using administrative-like rights. When inside, it behaved like it was full access insider, using its very capable NT supplied for simply off business. We replicated its over network devices. The reason NT worked the reason NT worked so well for the team also helped the malware travel. Then it turned nuclear wipe data from thousands of systems. It lasted step by step together, destroying the system. Local networks survived. Why? Because air gap systems and industrial controls for oil companies were offline. No way for the virus to jump. No internet, no emails, no product network was totally isolated, physically separated. Not just digital firewalls, actual cable separations that saved the core of our MOOC's business.
So yeah, because the dropper was spread on this like network system file, it actually didn't affect any of their operation machines, which is of course are air gapped. They're not on the same network as people's computers. No one's allowed to plug USB devices in. They don't have a network connection for that NAT SVC like interim server to put the dropper on. So all of their operation computers were actually unaffected by Shamoon, which is why it's important to have an air gap. Thank you for watching our presentation.